What? It's New Year. Well, not yet here in Ireland, but we're getting close. We're getting close. Gonna be last stream of the year. Haha, traumatic. And quite literally. But we're gonna take a bit of a chill pill today. Even though there's a lot of like wild things happening in the world today again. I don't think we've had like a pause moment throughout the year that we could just, breathe in. Nvidia and AMD to significantly increase GPU prices starting next month. Excuse me, what? RTX 5090 increasing from 2,000 to 5,000. Nice. Nice. And then there was the cable cut again in the Gulf of Finland by Russians. Once again, not the first time. But let's start with a bit of a more lighthearted stuff. Talk about the year in general. Or do we watch TikToks first? Apparently.
Is undergoing cultural transformation. Long seen as a media caricature of friendly savages who don't talk about politics, tea-drinking, G-splitting mascots of the tourism industry. Shamrocks painted over the wound too painful to be spoken of, so we swallow it up in a pint glass to kill the anger that burns inside, because the famine might be over, but we can still feel the hunger. In Ireland, empire never left us. We just swapped monarchy with multinational companies. Our entire economy is bankrolled by Google, Meta and TikTok. And if they leave, we're all going back to the farm. Because England dismantled Irish trade through a series of laws and restrictions until all that was left was land where life used to be. So when Great Britain sneezed, their man flu gave us pneumonia. And in some ways we're still shivering because the industry that got torn down was never replaced. The factories became memories, and this lack of infrastructure is why Ireland is reliant on foreign direct.
Is this satire?
Investment, where the GDP is so high we don't see the homeless dead on the ground. It's all capital injections and heroin syringes and glass buildings with no one inside them, and the cranes in the sky build a future that forget the past was ripped away from us. It's quiet and loud. Our culture will no longer fit on the inside of a tea towel. Ireland's traumatic history can't be found in the Book of Kells or the Viking splash. It's in the crack in our smiles when we laugh. Performative males. Performative males cosplay bisexual to trick girls into thinking they drag race. But when we
okay, this is complete fucking satire. Okay, let's do our own. This video did surprisingly well. This is wild. Like, your video is now available to more audiences. I needed to appeal my Israel video on TikTok because I noticed a bit of a trend that a lot of my criticism towards Israel videos, they get flagged for 18 and older instantly for being Israel related. Well, this is weird seeing myself in the... Israel has just banned 30... And this is the video that they flagged. Which is just going through the statistics and also the newest news of Israel that they banned the humanitarian aid companies. 37 of them. from Gaza. I wonder what's the most watched video still. Oh, it's still the Mandarin one. Let's... By a large margin. But the Bubba video did really well as well. Maybe one day that the top videos is gonna be occupied by the news videos I do. How many countries has Trump bombed in 2025? Venezuela is the latest country to be hit by US strikes as the Trump administration ramps up military interventions. This week, United States President Donald Trump confirmed that the US had struck a docking facility in Venezuela. What up, Ansari? Happy New Year. Marking the first military action on the South American country's land since it began targeting Venezuela shipping in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific in September 2025. Speaking to reporters as he met in Florida with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump said that there had been an explosion in Venezuela at the facility where boats the US believes to be carrying drugs usually load up. There was a major explosion in the dock area where they load up boats with trucks, he said. They load the boats up with trucks, so we hit all the boats and now we hit the area. My uncle is running for election. I need a political advice. Can you help? I would use the same political advisor that Trump has, if you think about it. But no, I can't really provide any assistance. In my opinion, like if you are trying to run for elections, like you should have the know-how to do majority of the work. Of course, there's a lot of things to be done, and having an advisor or assistant makes it a lot easier and a lot stress-free. But I think if your uncle is associated with a party, they have an agency that can be contacted that will provide you personnel. Bro, can you help me find one from India? Okay, I'll take back everything I said. Political advisors in India range from high-profile strategists like Prashant Kishore, who run mayor consultancies and manage national campaigns, to tech-savvy individuals and small firms offering data analytics and social media expertise for parties like AAP. Yeah, okay. It's relatively the same in India than it is in other places as well. That political parties usually have affiliation with different strategists and like analysts. So you can contact the political party that your uncle is gonna be associated, and they will help you find one. Are they gonna be good? I have no idea. Usually there's also some level of corruption, like they're gonna recommend people that they know or are affiliated or associated with, whether or not they're good or not. But yeah, be careful when you're asking for political advisor, though. You want to make sure that they align with your own politics before doing that. Although I would, if I would hire a political advisor, I would take the opposite. I would take somebody who doesn't align with my views. So we would need to be a bit more strategic when it comes to everything. Happy New Year's Eve, Erika. It's just a few hours, and then it's New Year. It was fun working today because I literally did absolutely nothing. All of my reports were like leaving early because I told them to leave early. That's the best thing being a manager, is like literally the first thing I said today to everyone was like, I don't want to see you after 12. So make sure you fuck off as early as possible. Hey, thanks Erika for the marvelous confetti. But yeah, I literally just made sure that all of my reports were out the door as soon as possible. Because who wants to work on a New Year's Eve? And the best part about it is I paid them the full salary of the day. So I didn't throw them out and not paid them. That would be a dick move. yeah, I want to see you leave as soon as possible, but you're not getting paid. Nah, I provided them the full day salary. Okay, I'll come work for you now. Yeah, because like our team was smart uh, a long time ago. Are you getting hired here? Yeah, like we already did everything. Like my team does things differently from my colleagues' teams and others. Like we always plan like week or two ahead of everything. So for example, we kind of already completed everything uh, from Christmas to New Year in the beginning of December. So literally the last 2 weeks for my team has been just uh, maintenance and just making sure that there isn't any issues. And other than that, like I don't think my team has worked a full day for probably 3 weeks, and I've still paid them a full day's salary. Because if you do your work, I don't like. I've said this to my team ever since I joined the team, to my reports, that I don't care what you do throughout your day because we work from home. We work from home, so I said on the first day that I don't care what you do during the day. If shit gets done, I'm happy. If shit doesn't get done, I'm not happy. But then we can work to get it done. But if everything gets done, you don't hear from me. I don't need to micromanage you. I don't need to look over your shoulder what you're doing. You can do whatever you want to. I just require certain things, and they are like the necessities of the job. And other than that, you can be creative. You can manage your day as you want to. If you're gonna leave early, or if you're gonna take a 2 hour break in the middle of the day, the only thing I require is just give me a heads up. Because if somebody asks that they need you, if you don't give me a heads up, it's gonna be a surprise for me. If you, I can still probably bullshit my way, but if you give me a heads up, at least I'll have a plan of what to bullshit for you. It's not the safest way to manage people, because like I'm putting a lot of trust on my, of course they have lived up to my trust, but also I'm putting my own career in line, because like if they fuck up, or if they screw around a bit too much, I'm gonna be the one that's gonna be on the chopping block, not them. But I'm willing to do that. Like it's not the end. It's not like we're saving the planet or anything. It's not like we're saving lives. Which skill people I request in PR team? Well, I would actually go with people who understand social nuances. Somebody who understands the culture and the political landscape. Because if you don't have a PR person that don't understand the culture of all the political landscape, then you have Caroline Lewitt, who's the press secretary from the White House, who's one of the worst PR people you can have. Really good liar, though. Well, not a good liar, but she doesn't question the lie. So she's the perfect spokesperson for Trump, because if you had a person with morals or integrity, you couldn't be the spokesperson for the White House. So you need somebody who doesn't have any morals, don't have any integrity, and is kind of a bad person in general. Then Caroline Lewitt fits the bill. Being editor, content writer, etc. like this. Oh yeah. So yeah, okay. So, what my understanding of India is, like you can actually just have a few people that have like multi talents. Like you don't need a separate editor and a separate content writer and a separate like social media manager and a separate video film talk. You don't need a separate like film crew or anything, or a people who take some videos, take pictures and films of your stuff. You can actually like find like proper content creators, like political content creators that have multiple skills. So you can actually combine those. That also saves a bit of money. I don't know how much money your uncle has, but the US bombed 7 countries in 2025. The president of peace. At the start of his second term in January 2025, Trump pledged to restore peace in ending global conflicts. He promised to end Ukraine war in 1 day. And still, now, a year later, literally a year later, nothing's happened. His administration has since attacked at least 7 countries, with Venezuela being the latest. Venezuela, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Somalia, Yemen, and Nigeria. Yeah, that's a lot of attacks on foreign soils for a peaceful president, to be fair. But let's not forget, he ended the war between... What the hell did he say? He said Albania and Mongolia. He said 2 completely wrong countries. Once again, I don't remember what those countries were, but I do remember that he spouted completely like wrong countries. Let's see if Croc knows. No, not Kosovo and Serbia. Oh, Albania and Azerbaijan. Yeah, Albania and Azerbaijan was the one I was thinking about. I thought it was Albania and Mongolia. That would have been even a worse one. But the Venezuelan situation has to be a bit worse because it has nothing to do with terrorists or anything. And he's just trying to like regime change and steal the oil. Well, steal the oil. Nigeria also, he's interested in the oil. Yemen, oil as well. Iran, oil. Iraq, oil. Syria, oil. Oh, well, to be fair, oil. They just found some more oil from Somalia. Literally, I read it. Where the fuck did I read it? Oil and gas. Somalia 29th of December officially announced, is set to officially announce its status as an oil producing nation following the conclusion of a significant oil and gas assessment. There you go. It didn't take me that long to find it. And yeah. So creating Somaliland and also the US being heavily interested in Somalia at the moment, if you haven't followed, they've been a bit too interested in Somalia. Although, if there is fraud, people who has frauded needs to be charged, whether they're Somalis or whether they're billionaires or whether they're hillbillies from Alabama. Everybody who's done fraud should be charged. But it all makes sense now, because all of these that United States has striked, they all have one thing in common: oil. And we do know how much the United States love oil. So much so that they lied in the 2000s that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction so they can go and steal the oil. And also in Lebanon, did the same thing. But what did go right this year? Let's talk about something positive and not Trump all the time, because I talk about Trump quite a lot. So there was some good things that happened in the year 2025. Even though there's a lot of bad things that happened, but there was also a lot of good things. Ocean Treaty, a landmark victory for high seas. The Ocean Treaty that was announced earlier this year, that was actually a really good thing. And I think I made a video about this as well. A landmark deal to protect the high seas finally became a reality in September, bringing hope to marine ecosystems and the people who rely on them. A total of 79 nations have now ratified the Global Ocean Treaty, way beyond the 60 required for it to become law in Iceland, Brazil, and Japan, who joined in December. Australia, the UK, and US are among the heel draggers. The next MLA election is 3 years. I want a roadmap. I mean, I can't provide you a roadmap. Sorry about that. If you pay my wife, she can probably do that. She's not cheap, though. The treaty will enter its force in 2026, giving governments a legal framework to protect forests that lie outside of national boundaries. Currently, only 1% of international waters are protected. Greenpeace said that the treaty could establish the largest network of ocean sanctuaries in history. The COP16 deal is a step forward, but I have to say that it's not on my list of like the best news of the year, to be fair. I think it was a bit of a letdown, but it made positive news. There was a lot of species popping up, which is kind of wild. Halting biodiversity loss remains one of the planet's most critical challenges. The good news is that, done properly, conservation's work, as 2025 frequently reminded us. One thing I remember is the Uganda rhino population is now finally in the rise. Hey Nolan, thanks for the follow. Yeah, the Uganda rhino population is on the rise finally. And also the green turtle is not came off the endangered list, which is kind of fine too. I wonder if there's... In May, a kingfisher native to Guam laid eggs outdoor for the first time in almost decades. Singing insects was also brought back from the brink. Brown trout returned to clean us up Swedish rivers. Meanwhile, the crane staged a remarkable comeback in Scotland. Jaguars, like a lot of different animals, came off the endangered list, which is nice. Slowing deforestation rate. The koala wildlife sanctuary in Australia. Yeah, I remember that one, that news as well. That was kind of heartwarming. They secured... Yeah, the Australian government, meanwhile, pledged to protect an extraordinary and unique marine ecosystem of the country west coast. That's not the one. Oh, here we go. Australia also set the boundaries for its Great Koala National Park, which is at 4,600 square kilometers, will be the largest protected area in the state of New South Wales. Nations have agreed to protect 30% of the planet by 2030. Also, I think it was somewhere in... I might butcher this, but I think it was Maldives. Or Mauritania. Or Mauritius. That promised to protect 100% of their own forest. Which is incredible. And also ban cigarettes. There was a lot of interesting innovations when it came to renewable energy. For example, the Seine River in Paris, that they're building piping underneath the Seine River in Paris and using the heat of the river to heat the nearby buildings. And they will start with just a few hundred, but when it's finished, it's gonna heat up like tens of thousands of buildings around the Seine River. Also, similarly, they did in England, Finland, Canada, Sweden. They started using those data centers to heat up buildings as well. So this was a innovation that a lot of people, not a lot of people, but a lot of countries around the world started doing, is using the heat created by the data centers to export that warmth to private houses, buildings, and also businesses. And well, for example, in the one city in England, they use the heat from the data centers to heat up a hospital. So that's also quite nice. Good new ways to use energy more efficiently. China, even though there's a lot of bad things that China has done throughout the year, but one good thing that China did together with India was that they cut their emission quite a lot and also swapped to renewable energy. So could 2025 be the year that China emission plateaued? Experts are optimistic after recording a 1% decline in the 12 months of April. It's a big deal given that China is the world's largest polluter. 100%. The dip in emission is a result of the country's rapid deployment of renewables. The same thing that India is doing. India has a plan of having 75% of renewable energy by 2030, which is, I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's kind of cool. Denmark emerged as climate and copyright leader. One thing that also was a bigger news this year was the social media ban under 16-year-olds, because I read that France is also doing the same. Australia was the first one, just like a month or two ago. I think it was in November. Australia banned social media platforms like TikTok, X, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat from kids under 16. And now France is doing the same thing. Trying to get kids out of social media platforms. Which again, like I said, when this news broke out in Australia, I said it then and I'll say it now. It's good that other countries are doing it so we can have the data to see if it's actually worth doing. France didn't have the patience to wait though. Petrol-powered cars are reaching the end of the road in Norway. Data published in January showed that 88.9% of cars sold in the country in 2024 were battery-powered, putting Norway on track to meet its target of going all electric in 2025. The Nordic nations has imposed high taxes on internal combustion engines while exempting electric vehicles from import taxes and VAT. Its policies have been consistent despite changes in government, in contrast to nations like the UK. But that's why Nordic countries are way better than a lot of other Western countries, like the US and Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland. Yeah. Those are the front runners when we think about like making lives better for the citizens. This was a bit of a bigger news, is like the heart attack deaths dropped by nearly 90% since 1970 in the US, which is wild because the US health industry is in the shitter, and also their food industry is in the shitter. But it could also be many reasons. This also goes against those anti-vaxxers because they claim that COVID vaccinations cause heart issues, and all of a sudden heart disease is dropping. So interesting. A new professional women's softball league launched. Good news for that. The FDA wasn't the only one who took a significant step towards phasing out animal testing. The government of Britain now also did the same. And it is a good thing. A lot of people said that how can we advance science and how can we advance medicine if we don't use animal testing? Well, we have technology that can replace that. So that is my solution for it. and it is a good thing. There was a lot of backlash for the British government saying that they are virtue signaling, but we don't need animal testing in the year 2025, let alone in the year 2026. There are other ways to do that. US crime dropped across multiple categories in 2024-2025. In a hopeful development of public safety, overall crime in the US declined in 2024, with both violent and property offenses reaching their lowest levels in years. The statistic published in August in the FBI's 2024 report, Crimes in the Nation report, show a decrease in every major category from homicide to motor vehicle thefts. These are 2024 numbers, which means that good job, Biden. But also the crime rates are dropping in 2025 as well. Not as much because the rate in 2023 was higher, so of course it's going to slow down. But 2025 is looking also that at least violent crime isn't going up, which is nice. The fight against colon cancer made progress. In 2018, the American Cancer Society lowered the recommendation age for colon cancer screenings from 50 to 45. 7 years later, a study released in August suggests this change is already making a difference. I think that number could be, that age restriction could be dropped to 40 or even earlier. Just because, like, of course, those screenings, like, we need to make a more efficient way to do those screenings and others. But the earlier we can start those screenings for different cancers, the better. Because there's a lot of cancer in, like, people under 40. Even, like, healthy people under 40. So if we enhance the science when it comes to cancer screenings, we can screen people way earlier than that, which would be beneficial for everyone. Green sea turtles we already covered. Oh, this one. Remember this. California passed historic school meal legislation. In October, California became the first state in the nation to pass a law that phases out and eventually bans ultra-processed foods from public school meals. Out of the 50 states, California will be the first, and is still the only one that has done that. And it is wild if you think about it. Everybody who lives in Europe, especially in the Nordic countries, it wouldn't cross my mind to eat or make my kids eat ultra-processed food. But in the United States, that's kind of the default, to be fair. The historic legislation, Assembly Bill 1264, aims to reduce ultra-processed foods of concern in school-provided breakfast and lunches by 2029. They could have just, like, snapped their finger and do it like that. As for what makes something ultra-processed, the new law covered that too, defining the category as food and beverages that contain one or more additives. For example, stabilizers, thickeners, coloring, or non-nutritive sweeteners, as well as a high level of saturated fat, salt, and added sugar. It's a movement that should unite us all, regardless of politics stripes, Governor Gavin Newsom said on the bill, which passed with bipartisan support. There's really a growing awareness, particularly among millennial parents like me, about what we need feed our kids. 100%. And I think that's a good news of the year. Another good news that wasn't on these lists was the free child care, like medical care for children in New Mexico. Blue races on a row. I can see the numbers go up. Yeah. Universal childcare.
New Mexico is set to become the first state to offer free universal child care. The state's Democratic Governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, announced the first of its kind program, free child care for all families, regardless of income, starting in November. A move estimated to save families about $12,000.
I think this was one of the better news coming from the United States. Life goal achieved. Hey, Blu-rays, thanks a million and Happy New Year. I know you're in Norway, so it's still 2 hours to go, right? But it's not that long anymore. Hopefully you're not working on New Year's Eve. Hopefully you're relaxing at home with your partner, playing games and just chilling. Happy New Year, 3 hours and sitting at work. No. Started today. But then again, you're in Norway, so I presume you have like triple pay or something like that. Yeah, like there's gonna be bonuses if you work in New Year's Eve. I guarantee it. At least in Finland, if you worked in New Year's Eve, it would be like almost triple pay. Oh yeah, I get 12 hours for like, oh my god, yeah. Well, to be fair, like if I got that, I would probably also be working. Especially because how easy my job is. Like I wouldn't have an issue working. You actually do like a proper job. What I do is just like child's play. All right, let's make a guess. There's 10 most significant world events in 2025. Well, now I'm just chilling. Yeah. So let's make guesses. What's gonna be here? Well, of course, I know a bunch of these already because I've been covering them for a while, and everybody who's watched my streams or heard me talk in any of my videos probably knows quite a few of these. And there's bound to be at least that's related to Trump because 2025 is kind of the year of the Trump, not in a good way. There's a lot of fatigue around the world because Trump's been in the news for a bit too much. Cambodia and Thailand clash. Yeah. Countries can come to blows even when one is substantially larger and better equipped than the other. And they've had so many ceasefires, and then they started again, and another ceasefire, and another, and then they started once again, and then Trump made a ceasefire, and neither of them agreed to it, and then they fought again, and then they made another ceasefire, which they already broke. So hopefully at some point they're gonna calm down. Cardinal Robert Prevost became Pope Leo. Yeah, I mean, who fucking gives a shit about the Pope? India and Pakistan clash, yeah. And they still are clashing. And we still have I still need to cover the disappearing people in Kashmir at some point. That's a news article that I found that nobody really knows the real reason. And I don't even know if that's a worthy thing to study, but it sounded interesting that there's people disappearing in Kashmir. The AI race intensifies. Oh yeah, like the RAM shortage we have at the moment. It's gonna increase the price of mobile devices, consoles, PCs, everything. The RAM shortages are gonna hit hard, and we got an announcement that PlayStation 6 and the next generation Xbox is gonna be delayed because of the RAM shortages. And also Nvidia announced that they're not going to provide they're not going to put a lot of effort in graphics cards anymore. They're going to concentrate on AI. So AI is coming fast, which is a good thing if you work on that industry. There's going to be a lot of work to be done. So at least I'd selected the right industry to be in. I don't know what happens when the boom is gonna go away. Hey, William, happy New Year as well. Hope you're having a good evening. Yeah, I'm just wrapping up the year. It's not gonna be that long because I need to go and play some board games with my kids and watch the fireworks and everything. So just wanted to wrap up the year and see as many people as I can. To wish you also, William, happy New Year. Hopefully you have a great New Year's Eve and great first day of the year. Sudan's crueling civil war. Sudan has the numbers are rising quite a lot in Sudan, and they have also the issue that Nigeria has, which is like kidnappings. And Sudan doesn't have as much coverage in major media outlets, which is wild to be thinking about. Like 400,000 people died, and not as much coverage than, for example, when the United States hit Nigeria. So love to hear it, bro. Love your content this year, and so happy you came to our little island. I'm not leaving. Like, even though there's Irish people who tell me from time to time to go back to my own country, but I like it a bit too much here, and people are really nice, and my kids love it here, and my wife loves it here, and the small town we're in, I really love. Like the locals here are just fucking great. Was a right choice to move to County Mayo. The United States broker a Gaza peace plan. Yeah, but can you really call it a peace plan if the ceasefire has been broken? But they did exchange prisoners, though. But with the newest news coming from Gaza, I don't think it's gonna be any better in the year 2026. But let's hope. Let's hope the conflict ends and peace is settled in that region and the killing stops. That's my New Year's wish, is that we would have less death next year. People forget the history when they talk about immigration, uneducated people, unfortunately. Yeah, but then there's the casual casual Irish that no, I don't know how to describe them, but there's a specific group of Irish people that, of course, I look kind of different. I'm 6'3" and I have long hair and I speak with an accent that isn't from Mayo or from the town that I am. They ask where I'm from, and when I say Finland, then they let out a big sigh of relief, like, that's good. That's a good country. You're welcome then. And I'm like, okay, what is the wrong answer then? If that's the right answer, what's the wrong answer? And one local told me that there's a wrong answer to that question. Well, then he was like, well, it's not technically a wrong answer, but we've had some bad experiences with them. Unfortunately, I which is ironic because I really like the Polish, but Polish and other Eastern European countries. He said that he was like, I don't want to give specific countries. I said that you do know that Poland is a specific country. Oh yeah, but other than that, Poland is like, it's better now than it was like 10 years ago. But yeah. But he said that not all of them are bad. Like, his neighbor is from Ukraine and he's kind of okay, but then his friend has a person who's from Ukraine, like living in the area, and he's a complete piece of shit. And I was like, yeah, that's like every single nationality. Like, you may have a good experience with a Finn because you're talking with me, but if you talk to my brother, hopefully my brother is watching. If you talk with my brother, you might have a different experience with a Finnish person. Not saying it's going to be a bad experience, but we are quite different, me and my brother. And also, if you talk to my wife, the experience would also not that different though, but still quite different. I like to talk more. The war in Ukraine grinds on, even though Trump promised to end it in one day. think Irish people blame everyone but themselves. Sadly, it's just a bad government. It's been the same government for a long time. Maybe I'll accrue my political power before the next elections and I can start to like influence it. Nah, just kidding. I don't want to influence politics. Of course. Who the hell said it? Someone said that when you have big enough audience, whether you want to or not to, you will start influencing decisions and politics, whether you intentionally do that or unintentionally. Small country, big GDP, too much money, not enough brains. I would have some really good ideas though. But I don't have Irish citizenship yet, so I can't go to politics. I'm never ruling out that I will never be in politics. But I would be kind of a personality if I did. Yet. Oh yeah, yet. Next year is going to be the 4th year I'm here, so I need to wait one more. So it's going to be... I'm going to be Irish in the year 2027. So it's not that long anymore. It's not going to be that long anymore. And a lot of things can change before that. Go and get it. You'll have my vote. I'll come cheer you on, brother. I mean, there's a lot of things that Irish is still depending on British that we could do ourselves here in Ireland, which is one of the things that I would talk if I would go to politics. And I'm surprised nobody is actually trying to like push forward. And there's no reason to be depending on the British on those things. For example, when it comes to energy. That's one thing that I could probably bring from like my Finnish way of thinking, because our neighbor, we were depending on our neighbor, Russia, for almost everything. But slowly but surely we figured out that we can't do that if we want to be sustainable for ourselves. So slowly we started drifting that and started generating that independency from our neighbor. And when finally we announced the, like, for example, energy independence, they were super mad about it, but they can't really do anything about it because we're our own nation, we're our own independent nation. Energy is one thing. Hey, Loud Lightning, thanks for the sub. But the windmill kills the bird. And it causes cancer. One of my Irish colleagues didn't know that you can sell your excess energy that you generate with your windmills. It would be if you are a minister of a sector, you have to have history or experience in that sector. I actually agree with you. I would also change that, because like if you don't have experience, but of course you would have advisors and you would have a team that is from that sector. But if you are an expert and if you have experience from the sector, that usually means that you also have biases, and the chance of corruption increases quite a lot. And also we've seen the amount of corruption we have in Ireland in the housing industry, the renting industry. So it's not a good thing that you have expertise or experience from that specific sector, because usually that means that you are friends or you are tied with similar people. Zero knowledge is not good at starting point for a minister. Depends. Like, I don't think you need to be the smartest person if you're the minister. Otherwise, we would never have a proper prime minister. Prime minister couldn't have the knowledge of every single. Although prime minister is more like a project manager than anything else, managing everybody. But let's say you are the minister of health. Yeah, it would be beneficial if you had some experience when it comes to the medicine field. If you're willing to learn, of course, but these guys have held 3-4 different sectors in years. Like minister, other members, fine, you can learn, but a minister. But that would be gatekeep, like. Okay, so let's play this game. You have a group who wins the elections, and they create the parliament, and they get the minister briefcases. None of them have experience, so in your eyes, none of them could be ministers, but they were selected by the people to lead the country. Being a minister of justice 1 year and the minister of education the next year makes no sense. It doesn't. For example, if you think about, like, let's take you have the what's it called? Fucking energy minister. Interior minister or something like that. No, not interior minister, that's a different thing. Minister of Energy, Electricity. Yeah, I think it's the energy minister. That they've done the same thing for years, and the energy prices are going up, and the infrastructure isn't improving. Then comes a person who says that, hey, let's do this differently. It will show that the prices would go down and the infrastructure will get better. And he has zero experience, because that doesn't require experience to actually see what's the faults of, like, the current process that we have. Of course, you need a bit of, like, knowledge when it comes to that, but you don't need to have experience in that field. There's other people who will make that happen. You mean to tell me that the minister who's responsible for the energy sector should be the minister just because he has experience, even though he has an track record of doing things shittily, creating more energy dependency on the UK, increasing prices, filling up his own pockets as well. That's why you should have a really proper team around it. Being a minister for children, enterprise, climate, etc. without a touch point sound like a bad thing. But that's the party decision then. I don't think it is. I think if you have a proper team, because no minister does the work by himself. We're not hiring one person, because, like, let's not play around the subject as well, Jutta. Oh, sorry, Alisa in TikTok. That ministers don't work alone. They have a full fucking team. Ministers are usually the talking heads that represent the ideas, the changes, or answer the questions. This we have always disagreed on. Oh yeah. If I remember correctly, you want it to be a proper job, interview, application, to get the best possible minds to work on it. Me, on the other hand, would want even more individual representation to better reflect the the individual citizens, the smaller groups of citizens, to make it as evenly split as possible. This is also where the governmental differences. Then nepotism will corrupt it more. Should be as open as possible. Yes, as open as possible. I do think so. But this might be a controversial take. But I do think that, as with any company, government should also have like a midterm evaluation by the voters. So let's say I could become the minister of culture. I know about culture quite a lot, which is trumping immediately what I said previously. But I become the minister of culture. Anyone who voted me will have a midterm evaluation of my performance after 2 years in being the minister of culture. If my voters think that I've done a fucking bad job, they can vote me out. If they still trust me and think that I've done a good job, I can continue the last 2 years. Or it could be even a yearly evaluation. I would be fine with that. End of year evaluation. In December, the voters will go, people who voted for that specific candidate will vote that if this person should be still the minister or not. Or should be something they have to hold themselves accountable. Agree. I do agree. But unfortunately, we know that ministers get paid quite nicely. And to be fair, not to be too rude towards ministers, but they're paid quite nicely for doing quite little. So they don't want to lose that gig. That's a really good paying job. So of course they wouldn't hold themselves accountable. There rarely is a politician who holds themselves accountable. Hey, boss, hope you have a good Christmas and your New Year's full of blessings. Hey, thanks, douche. Thanks for dropping by. Hope you had a great Christmas as well, and hope 2026 is going to be awesome for you. Hopefully your Battlegrounds luck will turn around and you will have some wins. They do nothing but grow thick skins for... Yes. Not all politicians are bad. I got great hoodies. I got a huge coffee mug that it reads Total Legend from my daughters. And it's like, it houses almost a liter of coffee. That was one of the best Christmas presents I've ever gotten. Is almost a liter coffee mug that reads Total Legend by my daughters. Battlegrounds is unplayable on mobile at the moment, at least for me. Number one news of the year. Donald Trump disrupts US foreign policy. Yeah, I mean, that wasn't a surprise to anybody, right? That's been the headline of the year, is Donald Trump doing everything and nothing at the same time. He's like a Cheshire's cat. He's doing all and nothing. Small town politicians are great because they care. It's big county ones that do nothing. Yeah, because like the small communities keep their small politicians in check. That's the fucking greatest thing. You can't really treat everybody like shit and after that go to the nearby Gala or like Tesco or Aldi and just be like normal. You will get heckled, you will get like shouted at, and oh wow. Trump said that Putin's attack bluster shows Russia is the one standing in the way of peace. Oh, sorry. It wasn't his own post. I thought it was his own post. It was the article headline. Damn. Nothing but a dictator. Well, that's kind of correct. Putin at a plus shows Russia is the one standing in the way of peace. Oh my fucking god, it's New York Post. Yeah, like, I thought it was New York Times, but it was New York Post, so we can't count that. New York Post is technically TMC. Like, sometimes they get things right, but usually it's just fucking tabloid. Usually it's tabloid. What? No way. Not New York Times, New York Post. Not New York Times, New York Post. Oh yeah, one bad news of the year. One extra bad news of the year. That was the earthquake that happened in Southeast Asia. That caused the flooding of Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Sri Lanka. That was a huge devastation in that area. And especially Philippines got hit the worst because their government ministers stole hundreds of millions of dollars worth of flood money that was supposed to go to rebuilding after like a proper disaster, for example, flooding. But the ministers and the politicians embezzled the money. Well, there's a silver lining in the story. There's a happy ending in this story, that the president or the prime minister rallied up those politicians, and they are trialed now, and they are going to be put to jail for a long time. Also, thanks to the Gen Z uprising in Philippines. GG. Also, good news of the year: Gen Z uprisings in around the world. Like, there was so many countries that saw Gen Z uprisings, saying no to corruption, fighting against an unjust government, and mistreating of the youth around the world. Not just in Europe, for example, in Slovakia, Bulgaria, even in Hungary, but also in Peru. And then there was Cambodia, Madagascar, Nepal, Philippines, Sri Lanka. Am I missing? Am I forgetting something? No, I think that was quite almost every single one of them. I can see it happening here too. In Ireland. You think so? I hope so. They would need a charismatic political leader. So if I see an uprising coming, I can be the one that's going to nudge it forward. I would also always be willing to do a bit of revolutionary. So I could always be the voice of a revolution. See you in 2 years, boss. And now there's gonna be a guard outside my door asking questions like, "What did you say? You're gonna stage a coup?" Nah. I'm just gonna hold the old farts accountable what they're doing, because imagine that you're the youth here at the moment, and I actually see and hear it, that in when I was 15, I moved away from home. I could live with myself. Here in Ireland, you don't have a chance to move out from home when you're 15, even when you're 20. Yeah, I do. A lot of people are really fighting hard to hold themselves back. Like, the youth's future here Doesn't look that great. I have a few revolutionary ideas that would make things a bit better for the youth, but they are still a bit too revolutionary for this time. So we will need to let this situation marinate for another 2 years, and after 2 years, they wouldn't be any revolutionary ideas anymore. They would be sounding like really, really fucking good ideas. I'm 32, married, 2 kids, paying 2,100 a month on rent with banks telling me I can't afford a mortgage. Oh yeah, 100%. Like, that is literally so fucking dumb. Yeah. And we also got the same no. We made more than enough to get a mortgage for a house. But the bank said no. But of course, the banks need to be a bit more careful. Because what happened 2008, 2009. So it's a good thing that the banks are careful, but that doesn't make sense because you have a history of you can pay the mortgage payment. So it literally makes no sense to decline that. Let's hear them. No. They're too revolutionary for the moment. Too revolutionary. I would be thrown away by Ireland and sent back to Finland. I don't want to do that. Maybe after a few drinks tonight. But it's a joke. Forced to afford 2,000 euro rent, can't pay 1,500 euro mortgage payment. Yeah. It is a joke, though. That's like, Finland kind of suffers the same. Hakkaa päälle. Hakkaa päälle, Suomen poika. Any ideas how to get Finland back on track? I mean, the right-wing government doesn't work. The left-wing government doesn't work. Maybe try something else. Revolution? Revolut mortgages, I hoping puts the French in it. Hopefully. Yeah, like, everybody was so hopeful because there was a right-wing government after a long time. I wasn't one of them. Just to be 100% with you guys, I wasn't one of them. I kind of knew what was gonna happen. Everybody who's sensible at all. Hey Donny, thanks for the follow. Like anyone who's followed the political landscape longer than 4 years knew where it was going. So I even told my friends who were voting right-wing that you do realize that those things that you think that's going to happen isn't going to happen. And these things that they are also saying, but you're not paying attention, will happen. He didn't listen to me. I said that, yeah, that's fine. I said that I'm not going to live there that much longer, so. Which was kind of ironic because we literally moved a few months after that conversation. Not because of that, though. But, yeah, it didn't work. The right-wing government didn't work. Neither did the left-wing government. Although I have to say that the left-wing government did do a good job during COVID. Considering nobody can prepare for that. So that I need to give some kudos to the left-wing government that we had. Other than that, not so much. It is wild that they managed to create more jobs than a right-wing government. That is baffling. That the left-wing government put a target amount, and they met that target. But then the right-wing government didn't. Run your climate model starting at the 1900s and the pseudoscience falls apart. What? Pseudoscience. Nice. Yep, sadly happened till our kids are grown added to our voting numbers. Oh yeah. No more Päivi Räsänen and Petteri Orpo. I mean, the Christian Democrat should never be in the government. Fuck no. Almost New Year in Sweden, right? 21:42. Wait a second, it should be... Oh yeah, because you're 1 hour ahead of us. True. And Finland's 2 hours ahead of us. Yeah. But yeah, in Finland we have this political party called Christian Democrats, which has nothing to do with Christianity and nothing to do with democracy. They're just an old remnant of like our historical past or some bullshit. But like, they shouldn't be in the government. Oh yeah, I thought it was also 2 hours. Then we have a party called Center Party, which is in the center. Then, okay, this is especially fun to have a conversation. Like in Ireland, we have a Green Party here, and we also have, of course, a Green Party in Finland. There's a Green Party in Sweden and Norway and everywhere. But a lot of the Green parties in Europe are quite similar. But the Green Party in Finland and the Green Party in Ireland, they are really, really different from each other. They have similarities, but they have some weird differences. And I always thought that because I voted for the Green Party in Finland. They had some right lean like free market ideas, and they also had the basic human rights ideas. So they kind of in line with my way of thinking the best, because I'm not a full right winger or a full left winger, so I'm kind of floating in the middle. Because yeah, the Green Party here in Ireland is stuck in the early 2000s. Can you steal man living in alt-right conservative Christian society? What? Can you steal man? What way would you want it to sway over here next time? You mean the elections? I mean, we've got to see what the two major parties can or cannot do. For how long? 30 years. If I remember that number correctly, I think it was like 30 years or something. The same two parties have hold power. Can you steal man living in an ultra? I think I have to get to politics as well. I'll take over the Greens. Captain's log, I haven't drank anything yet, I promise you. But why can't I understand what that is? Sell it in, even if you don't agree, only look for the positives. Example, there is probably a good feeling of community. Okay. So, if I understood correctly, is that like, could I live in a society that has like, for example, what you wrote, there is a probability of good feeling of community, that the community is alt-right conservative Christian society. I mean, if they don't force their ideology on me, I mean, if they let me be an individual, I guess so. I read that so many times and it still didn't click me fully, but I think that was kind of close, right? 60 years Fianna Fáil has had a, yeah, like the number was stupidly big. I remember that, William. Hold on, I will explain. Like, I I would want to see other people have a turn in Ireland. What way it sways, whether it's Sinn Féin or something like that, it's like at least try something different. Okay, example. I don't like veggies. Okay. Okay. Waiting. Waiting where this is going. In the meanwhile, Finland's authorities seized control of a vessel suspected of damaging a data cable between Helsinki and Tallinn. It's not a suspicion anymore, it's actually they did that. The data cable was damaged today and the anchor chain of the vessel was hanging in the water. The vessel Vitburg was going from St. Petersburg, Russia to Haifa, Israel. It is flagged in the St. Vincent and Grenadines. Vitburg is not any official sanctioned list but has been highlighted as a vessel of interest by a sanctions monitoring platform. Vitburg was intercepted in Finland's exclusive economic zone, and the cable damage took place in Estonia's economic zone. 40 crew members were detained. What up, Dark Center? Happy New Year. I want Sinn Féin and independence for 4 years just to give them a chance. Ah, yeah, I do agree. That would be interesting. Throw in the Greens as well. The Greens aren't bad, but they need a reform. They need Jutta. They need Alisa there. Okay, so I don't like veggies, but I can't steal man veggies. It's probably good for me. It's healthy, it's cheap, it's colorful, it's good for the environment. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay. You okay? Now I understand. So what's my steelman? Because I've lived with conservatives, with Christians, where I even have a friend that's considered to be alt-right, and I've tried my hardest to like make him change. But I don't know. I try to be so understanding of everybody. Same, but I found myself leaning more left lately. Steelman is only lifting up the positives. Okay, none of those have any positives. I'm just kidding. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's then gonna be religion. I think because I can see the positive in religion, even though I don't believe myself. And this is something, Captain's Log, you've heard me say many times when I'm talking about religion, because I understand the people's need to get comfort, and like because they're afraid of not knowing or afraid of dying or they have doubts or anything, and they need something, a higher being that's providing and has look over everything. And I so religion could be one that I can steal man religion. Even especially Mormons. Like, okay, Mormonism. I don't know if any of you ever met Mormons, but my fucking God, if you ever meet Mormons, you will not meet more nicer people anywhere. And they fucking believe that Jesus went to the United States and Joseph Smith read some fucking gold tablets through a stone or something like that. I don't know if I still have my Book of Mormon, but I don't think it traveled with us to Ireland. But yeah, Mormonism especially. I can see and I can understand the positive things about it, even though I don't agree with any of it. And I think it's fucking stupid, to be fair. But I can see the benefit it has. Religious beliefs do a lot for people, so I think they are creative healthy. Yes. I think I just said it yesterday, that not all religious people and not all religions are about war and destruction. But there's a lot of heinous acts of violence and cruelty done in the name of religion. Which is ironic that I am an atheist and I do dabble myself with religion from time to time. That's a Stillman, thank you. No worries. It took me, I have to be honest, Captains, look, I've never heard that term, so it took me a while because of that. But now I know it and I'm probably never going to forget it. Thanks. Is there another one? Now I'm fascinated about this. I can probably steal quite a lot of different things. Being friends with Epstein. No, not that. I'm a strong Catholic, so everything I do, I reflect. I don't think I would be as understanding without it. I used to be... I was brought up Christian. Like Lutheran Christian, which is the main religion in Finnish. I probably think Blu-rays could also relate to this, because this is probably the same major branch of Christianity that Norway and Sweden has, the Lutheran Christians. And yeah, my awakening away from religion was around 7, 8 years old. 7, 8, 9 years old. And I've still studied different religions because they are fascinating stories, and people from different religions are fascinating to me. And I like to have conversations with them. Of course, they can never convert me. And also, I'm not trying to convert anyone. Like, again, as I stated, your beliefs is your beliefs. Don't ever let anybody, like, decide it for you. Whether it's a priest or whether it's your parents or whether it's somebody else, it's your personal thing. Make sure it is your personal thing. That's one thing that I give my kids the freedom. Like my daughter believes in Jesus and Christianity, and my other one used to, but is now an agnostic, kind of an atheist though. But I do provide them all their information, like not affecting the information, just providing, here's something to read and study, go for it. Hey, Dop Talker, thanks for the hard and go popular. Happy New Year, Dop Talker. But yeah, like, because I could easily influence my kids, so I don't want to do that. So they can decide themselves, because belief and religion is a personal thing. And it would be unfair of me to steal that personal decision from my kids. Well, the only thing that was right for me was the Norse faith. Still one of my favorite mythologies is the Norse Norse mythology. The trial of Fenrir, for example, when Odin had the bad dream, and so in the dream he saw that Fenrir grew larger and larger until it started to threaten the gods. So Odin wanted to jail Fenrir, but because Fenrir was a pup and Tyr didn't like that, so this story is what, and the story ends that they used like an enchanted shackle on Fenrir, and Fenrir noticed that there's something wrong with the shackle, with the chain. So he made a deal that if one of the guards would hold their hand inside of Fenrir's mouth, he would agree on this challenge. And nobody else wanted to do it. And then Tyr, of course, being the friend of Fenrir, agreed to do that. And Tyr put his hand inside Fenrir's mouth. And once Fenrir could escape from that shackles, he bite off Tyr's hand. I love those stories. And my daughter did not get baptized. Want her to choose when she gets older herself. Bite the hand. Yeah. Jormungandr and Hela. And then there was the giants tricking Loki and Tyr and Thor. Being a strong Catholic and a little lefty makes seriously a lot of sense, William. But yeah, like Norse mythology. I try to explain to my Indian reports the bizarreness of like what Vikings believed is in the afterlife. And then he said, my report said that explains everything because you're kind of the same way. And then I corrected them that Finnish people were never Vikings, which is something a lot of Finns don't want to admit, but that's not something that we share with you Swedish and Norwegians in the chat, and even Danish, because Finns were never Vikings. That's something that you guys have that unfortunately I don't, which is you guys have that Viking heritage. Is Trump the best American president? I don't even think Trump is the best American president currently. Which is kind of wild because he is the president of the United States, but I don't think he's the best president still currently. Well, you got Sisu. That is something we have. That's better. It is wild. I tried to explain to because my Japanese reports, I have Japanese people who I manage, and of course they love a lot of like Finnish stuff like Marimekko and Moomin and a lot of Finnish products, and they also thought that we were like Viking relatives, and then they were like asked too many questions when I said that we are not Vikings, which is the one that I would try to avoid because it's really hard to try and explain what Finns were back in like before the year 1000, during the Viking era, like 800s and 700s and 900s. And the only way we can describe what Finns were compared to like what the Kiev Rus was back then, which were like kind of mix of Mongolians and others, like wouldn't say savages, but kind of savages, not as sophisticated as like Central Europeans. And Vikings, of course, were, everybody knows what Vikings are, but Finns were crazy shaman people who lived in the woods, and also rivers and seas and lakes filled with sisu. Well, of course they needed to be. They were fucking insane. Only moved more left in recent years when I struggled to see what central parties were doing. A Christian right-winger is an oxymoron. Finland is equal to the Dudesons. Yeah, I grew up watching the Dudesons. I grew up also doing a lot of stuff that Dudesons did. I don't understand how I survived all of that. I did all of those, like, you know, shopping cart bullshit and jumped from the roof of my well, not my house, but my parents' house to a big pile of snow. I didn't break any bones, which is fascinating. I don't know how. The golden age of shopping carts. We did so much stupid stuff. And nobody got hurt. That's a surprise. Robotaxis to cover about half the US population by end of 2025, said Musk. Now, God of War with the 12-year-old, remember podcast invite is still active. I didn't get your podcast invite. I was waiting for your email. Happy New Year, brother. Hey, thanks for dropping by, Captain's Log. Happy New Year as well, and enjoy the God of War. At the same time, everyone was making snowboarding and skateboarding movies, 100%. So, the United States is now investigating fraud. So, should this be considered fraud? Robotaxis to cover about half the US population by end of 2025. Now that we are investigating fraud, because Musk has made the same promise now 4 years in a row. So, it's not an estimation anymore. That's leading your investors. Well, frauding your investors. Surely you don't think daycare should be unlocked. There should be a reception area. No, every daycare is locked. Fair point. Yeah, like, this is what the Russians try to do again. It's like AI generated footage. Hey buddy, I used to like Musk before he became a huge political douche. I have to be honest. 2016, I think, was the last year I liked Musk. 2016 or 17. I think everyone at some point liked Musk. Some earlier, some later. And so at some point, he crossed that boundary for your individual, like, how much can I withstand a billionaire douchebag? Alisa, yeah, 100% goes against all teachings. They exist, though, sadly. Oh, yeah. While the cameras were off, Trump started screaming and yelling at President Zelensky, telling him to take what he's giving to give Putin.
By screaming and yelling at Zelensky in the Oval Office when the cameras were shut off. And
well, the meeting between the two was in Florida. So either they're talking about the previous meeting that they had in White House, or they're just making shit up. It's a safe space. We can admit our mistakes. Originally, he was doing a lot of good things, but at some point, he lost his way. Yeah, because I watched this meeting live. This was one from Mar-a-Lago, from Florida. This was not from the Oval Office. With friends like Trump in US, who the fuck needs enemies? Ooh. Ooh. I do, like, it's been a while since United States has had a good president. Hey Lou, thanks for the follow. It's been a while since the US has had a good president. I was actually thinking about this. And it is really hard to, like, pinpoint when was the last good president, because every single one of them has done some really shady fuck-ups. Some more than others. For example, I was like first thinking like, okay, so it's Trump, Biden, Trump, Obama, Obama, W. Bush, Bush Jr., Bush Jr., Clinton, Clinton, Bush, Reagan, and I was like, oh my fucking god, how far back do I have to go? Because all of those I just mentioned, all of them had like ups and downs. Obama, of course, had the drone attacks on US citizens. He kind of bailed out all the big banks and insurance companies. And then we have like Bush Jr., who, well, faked the whole Iraqi thing. They didn't have weapons of mass destruction. And started that whole fucking stuff. Also let Bin Laden escape. And let alone like created the housing bubble that Obama inherited. I'm not even talking about Trump and Biden because their presidencies are quite shit compared to like they're never gonna be considered be one of the best. Let's not beat around the bush. Then if we go past George W. Bush Jr., then we go to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton has had all the proxy wars in the old Soviet countries and also in the Middle East and in Africa. So Bill Clinton did a lot of shady stuff. Also ruined Monica Lewinsky's career or life. So it's probably not going to be Bill Clinton either. Then we go to the 80s, and then we get George Bush again, who was the orchestrator of the Gulf War. Is it Reagan? No, definitely not, because Reagan was so afraid of communists that he did a lot of bad stuff, bad decisions, especially for the people of color and sexual minorities. And then we go even like further down the history. I don't know. It's really hard to say. Depends on what your criteria is, who's the best president. I would want to say Obama's first term. The second term was shit. If I could get Obama's first term, although in the first term he bailed the banks though. But he was kind of forced to do that too. But he did that willingly. Lincoln maybe. That's quite far back, yeah. But Lincoln probably, yeah. Although Lincoln didn't free the slaves willingly, he was kind of forced to do that. Eisenhower, that's it. I don't know. It's a hard question. It kind of depends, like, how do you measure what's a great president? But yeah, it's been a wild year. I think this is a good time to end. I still have some time to... Wouldn't be in my lifetime anyway. I don't think like in our lifetime. I would argue there was good times with Obama. But Obama wasn't perfect. If Bernie Sanders won, Bernie Sanders would be my number one pick. Whether or not Bernie Sanders was a good president, Bernie Sanders would... Bernie is always my bro. I'm a Bernie bro. Just because Bernie Sanders loves us Finnish so fucking much. Happy New Year, everyone. Yeah, 100%. Thanks for keeping me company, everyone. In TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Hopefully everybody has a great new year. And we'll be here again in the year 2026. You can be sure of that. Not going anywhere. Hopefully a bit more. Have a great night. See you next year. Have a wonderful night with family. Happy New Year. Blu-rays. I made the same pun at work when I was leaving today. Okay, it's time to bounce. Well, anything I didn't finish today, I can leave it till next year. And I was like, okay, I'm out. I can't. I'm out. But yeah, have a happy New Year, everyone. I don't know how to speak Irish, but should I even translate that? See translation. And TikTok can't translate Irish. Wait a second. TikTok can't translate Irish. Well, that's hilarious. Happy New Year to you. Oh, there you go. All right. That's it. That's it. Thanks, everyone. Take care.